Please help me introduce today Dr. Yug Varma, skin and microbiome expert. Dr. Varma's mission is to change the way that we treat chronic bacterial diseases, and he's working tirelessly towards achieving this goal with a microbiome-based technology platform. And before any of our listeners are ready to press pause and go, uh-oh, this might be over my head, can you make a promise to us today, Dr. Varma, that we're going to understand this? You're going to bring it down to our level?
Absolutely, Lindsay. That's my mission. And although I'm a scientist, I love I work on quite a bit communicating complex concepts so that everyone can understand them.
I love that. And I knew that was going to be your answer. So we're so excited to have you today. We haven't really dove into skin in particular, like as a focus topic. So I'm really excited about that. But I feel like before we do that, let's get this nice base understanding of, again, like even taking that word microbiome, if you can break that down for us, and feel free to give us your background as well.
Yeah, sure. I'll start with my background and then I'll dive into what the microbiome is. So I'm a scientist. I'm a microbiologist and bacterial geneticist. I got my PhD from Johns Hopkins, it feels like an age ago. Then I did a postdoc at UCSF where I was working on sort of cutting edge microbiome research in one of the most advanced labs in the country. And then I kind of spun off this startup based on technologies that I was excited about and that I thought would have a huge impact on sort of just the way products are developed in acne specifically. So we are my company, Phyla, focuses on skin problems, right? And right now we have a product for acne. Now, in terms of the microbiome and what that is, I always like to start from this point that none of us really understand and appreciate that we have a rainforest on our skin. This rainforest is incredibly diverse and it's invisible, because the trees of this rainforest are microbes. They're bacteria, fungi, viruses. And just like in a rainforest, you have this complex community, this ecosystem that supports all these vital functions. The microbiome sits on the soil that is our skin and performs these really vital functions for us that keep us healthy. And if they go wrong, it makes us sick, right? So just like a rainforest, when we're healthy, each one of us, our forest looks a little different, but the fact is that our microbiomes are in balance. That's what characterizes a healthy forest ecosystem. That's what characterizes a healthy microbiome on our skin. The problem occurs when in a chronic bacterial disease like acne, for example, you have an imbalance that's usually created by a bad bacteria that comes in and overgrows, and it disrupts this balance. So now, you're displaced from health. You want to get back to healthy skin. You need to recreate that balance. You need to recalibrate and find that balance again. But unfortunately, a lot of the times, especially with acne, we use harsh products to kind of solve the problem because, there's a bad bacteria that's at the heart of this problem, right? So we're trying to kill this bacteria. But these harsh products, they're indiscriminate killers. They kill both the good and the bad bacteria. So it's kind of like they're taking this rainforest and they're converting it into a desert because they're just literally killing off everything. So Phyla's approach is completely different. It's radically different from this. We identify and know the bad bacteria for a given disease, right? For acne, it is a bacteria called C. acnes, and we'll dive into it. Our technology can kill only the C. acnes without hurting any of the good bacteria in your microbiome. So it's like if you have an invasive species in the forest, you're not going to set fire to the whole forest to get rid of the invasive species, right? You're going to make sure you just get that plant out. That's exactly what our technology does and allows the skin to recalibrate the microbiome, get to a healthy state. And unlike harsh products, you're not getting the side effects, the relapses, and that constant cycle of skin damage and your acne coming back. So we free people from that cycle. And I think that is the greatest power of this technology.
Yes, and I'm loving the visuals with this. Thank you. That really it brings out this whole, oh, well, that's interesting. I'm thinking, yes, acne, but does this, and I might be jumping the gun, anything dermatological, like any problem with the skin in general, is that the same throughout?
And, it's different. Obviously, some diseases are more complex than others, right? And not all diseases have a bacterial component. So psoriasis, for example, is a much, much more complicated disease. We think it has to do with the bacteria of the skin and the gut. How that kind of interplay works hasn't been fully figured out yet. But for acne, the main etiological agent or the disease-causing agent is well known, has been studied for decades, and it's this one bacteria. And I would say eczema is probably much more similar to acne in the sense that it's well studied. We know what the bad guy is and what to go after.
Okay, and maybe because I'm dietitian land over here, I always think of microbiome much more gut related, food sensitivities. So bring us in. How does all of this correlate together?
Absolutely. So just like you said, you're looking at many things through the lens of nutrition, and there are many parallels to be made here, right? So just like we take care of the flora in our gut, we know that the bacteria in our gut are really important for our gut health and overall health, right? And we nurture that. We eat foods that nourish, with lots of fiber that nourish these bacteria. We take probiotics and eat fermented foods that supplement the bacteria in our gut. And I think more recently, we've turned our attention to the skin and the importance of the skin microbiome. So, for example, you'll see many, many products out there that are probiotic skincare. And I find as a scientist, it's a bit misleading because the vast majority of these probiotic skincare products are basically not probiotic at all. They have dead bacteria, and all the bacteria are all from yogurt, right? So they're lactobacillus and bifidobacterium. Now, yogurt bacteria are great for the skin. They're great for the gut. They're meant to transit through the gut and live there, but they don't really do anything for the skin. They're not major colonizers of the skin. They're not really found there, and they don't really have a noticeable role to play. Further, they're not even a live bacteria that they put in probiotic skincare. A lot of it is just dead bacteria. So it's kind of like taking a tub of yogurt where there's not a single alive bacteria. From a nutritional point of view, that's not likely to do anything good. So, we're science-based. We love to kind of educate and show our work, as it were. And I'm a little disappointed that some other products out there are like, they call themselves probiotic skincare, but they're really not.
It makes your fight a little more uphill battle because what does make you different, and you are, but now it's all this explanation. And I love that you're out in this podcast world being able to explain it too, because it's so interesting and motivating when you can hear it scientifically explained and why it does or doesn't make sense. So thank you. This is so great. And just differentiate again, so if somebody has gut health that needs a lot of fixing, they're really noticing that they have a lot of food sensitivities, a lot of change to make there. Do you see a common link with skin as well, or can they be completely separate? So if somebody is struggling with acne, is that maybe a little trigger for them to go, maybe I should also be checking gut health with this?
The short answer is that it varies. And I'm sure, from your experience too, everyone's history with food, their sensitivities, their relationship with food is different, right? By and large, what we've seen and what is also known in scientific literature is that acne is very much sort of a skin disease. Having said that, obviously, there's no system in our body that's completely isolated. And so for many people, diet kind of plays a role, right? And so diet is a factor in acne, but it's an indirect factor. And so let me explain what that means. Obviously, many people know that, eating oily foods or spicy foods or chocolate or whatever sometimes triggers their acne. So diet does affect acne in an indirect way. But the main sort of mechanism by which it sort of affects acne is that it affects the quality and quantity of oil that's produced on our skin. So we have these oil producing glands called sebaceous glands on our face. They pump out this oily substance called sebum, which is a protective oil. It hydrates our skin, keeps those layers moist, keeps our face from, getting wrinkles and so on. And it seals in moisture. Now, this oil is also the primary food for this one bacterium, C. acnes, right? So if your body responds to certain foods by changing the quality or quantity of this oil, it's going to affect the bacteria on your skin, right? And so consequently, a lot of people think that, if the oil is feeding the bacteria, then the solution here is to dry out my skin, right? Kill all the oil, suck it out. So that's an indirect way of approaching the problem. And the way in which that's not very healthy is that your skin needs that oil to stay healthy. Like I said, it locks in moisture, it keeps it, hydrated. And more importantly, it prevents like fine lines, wrinkles, and aging over time. So when you're drying out your skin, you're making yourself susceptible to all of those things. Now, our approach is, it's not really the oil that's the problem if you take care of the bacteria, right? So we take care of the bacteria so that it doesn't matter how oily your skin is, what foods you're eating so much, but if you take care of the real prime cause of the problem, then you don't have to dry out your skin. You don't have to irritate your skin to get the results you want.
Okay, so I feel like this could be a perfect segue into tell us more about your product. Is it a cream? Like how does one use your product to go about this?
Right. So the main sort of star of our product line is our serum, which we call Fortify. It has these organisms called bacteriophages or phages. So phages are naturally occurring harmless viruses that are very specifically evolved to kill only one bacteria. And so we use these phages to target the C. acnes bacteria. In fact, in our research, we discovered that these phages that we use in our serum, they're only found on healthy skin. So people with acne actually naturally lack these phages, and people with healthy skin naturally have it. So it may be a natural mechanism for those really annoying friends of ours, people with flawless skin who just wake up with, dewy skin, never get a zit. Chances are that they're naturally harboring, the difference between their microbiome and ours is that they have this phage that is sort of a gardener. It keeps in check and calibrates the microbiome. So we decided to democratize this, put it in a bottle. And so it's a serum that you put on your face. We recommend twice a day, but once a day is enough for a lot of people. And we've built a simple minimalist skincare routine around this star product of ours that supports the phages, that doesn't interfere with them, and that anyone can use or incorporate in their daily regimen.
I'm going to take you down a side trail here for a second. So is there a difference between the teenager getting their acne, their zits, versus a more grown up? Like, is this targeted towards certain groups, or anyone who's prone to having any form of acne, this is beneficial towards?
So the thing about acne is any type of acne vulgaris, right? So we're not talking about fungal acne or folliculitis or anything else. If you're talking about acne, then the causes and the solutions for teens as well as adults is about the same. And so that's what we see as well, is that our product works across the board. For teenagers, for adults, it works for mild to moderate acne or severe acne. And, there's been an uptick in acne over the years. So now it's estimated that about half of women in their 20s and about a third of women in their 30s have acne. And that's a huge increase, because we used to think of acne as really a teenager's problem. Right?
Yeah.
But now we don't know. Is it an increase in pollution? Is it stress? Any of those things that's causing this uptick? But that is kind of the observation.
No, that's so interesting. And I have to tell you, you're speaking to the right crowd. Like, I feel like, first of all, a lot of our listeners are moms and we have kiddos coming through those phases of life right now where it's so hopeful to hear that there's these other solutions out there that don't feel, like it's going to ultimately damage skin as well. And then again, prevention of wrinkles. Like, yes, everybody's wanting to put the right thing on their face and their kids' faces to make sure that we set everybody up for life. Okay, serum, and then keep going. I interrupted you.
Right. So the serum, like I said, is our flagship product. We also have a cleanser that we recommend you use before the serum, right? So it's a very gentle cleanser, and it's gel based, so it doesn't foam and strip your skin of oils, but it just gently exfoliates. It opens up the pores, and it makes sure that your skin is ready to receive the serum. So you use the cleanser first. Then you apply our serum, which has the phages on it, and the phages absorb and go into the pores and start working. And then, if you have dry skin, or if you have tight skin after you cleanse your skin, we have a wonderful, very light moisturizer that's very hydrating, but it doesn't feel greasy. And we call it fluff. It is very fluffy and light. So, those are the three components of our system. Again, like I said, it's very simple, it's very minimalist, and it gives your skin only what it needs. Because a huge demo of our customer base is actually parents who are buying for their kids, and we see this sort of comment over and over again, which is that they're looking for a solution for their kid, right? Obviously, something that works for them and doesn't damage their skin. And they're surprised to learn that the options they have are the exact same options they had when they were a kid. And a lot of parents say, how come, in the 20, 30, whatever years since I was a teenager, there hasn't been any kind of advance in acne? They're just kind of mixing and matching pre-existing things. So for us, this, we represent a huge scientific advance in the understanding and treatment of these kinds of blemishes and breakouts. And the fact that we can do it without side effects or relapses, I think just speaks to how beneficial it can be.
Absolutely. And I kind of thought where you were going to go with that was that the parents start using the formula as well and go, oh, this is really nice.
Sometimes they do. Sometimes we do see them swiping the serum or the moisturizer, or they're like, oh, yeah, I'll take the cleanser. So we see that too.
Could definitely see that. And once somebody starts on this regimen, because it is gentle and it is just something like could be just a lifelong, or do you use it for X amount of time and then take breaks and pull it back in as needed?
Again, your mileage may vary. Some people, because remember, this phage that we're using is actually a natural part of healthy skin. We see it naturally on healthy skin. So why do people with acne skin not have it? We don't really fully know the answer to that. And what we've observed is for some people, it takes relatively little time for them to see results, and their skin recalibrates. And for some people, obviously there's different experiences, but acne is a chronic disease. No one ever said, oh, remember that, 2 weeks in 8th grade that I had acne and then I never had it again, right? It's a disease. It's something that you have to live with, and a relationship you have with your skin over months and years. So because it's such a long-term sort of condition, it's actually kind of surprising that a lot of remedies or solutions for acne are so harsh, because there's no way you could keep up, a benzoyl peroxide or even like a retinoid regimen over years, because they're so harsh, they're so drying and irritating. So the great thing about this regimen is that you can use it day in and day out for months and years, because that's the time scale in which you have to deal with your acne. And while you're using our products, you don't see the side effects. You don't have to damage your skin or compromise to get the results you want.
Right. Right. Okay. Let's pivot again here for a second, because while we have you, I really want to talk these prebiotics, postbiotics, Probiotics, these terms get thrown out all the time. And can you just kind of nail each one of these down and let our listeners understand why are we hearing these terms all the time?
Absolutely. I think this is some of this is just marketing because I think a lot of people are being called out that their probiotic skincare doesn't have probiotics. And so these terms have come up to hopefully better define, but usually to use the word biotic in a way that sounds like probiotic, but it's not really that. So obviously we know, and again, making that gut analogy, right, that there are good bacteria, healthy bacteria that we need to feed our body to keep it running well, to stay healthy, right? And those are the probiotics. So what they do is they live in our gut, they're alive, and they consume the stuff that we eat or we put in our body, and they, if they're happy, they'll make these compounds that make our body happy. And so that's this relationship. Like they take food from us and they give us something good back in return. Now, prebiotics are a way to encourage existing good bacteria to flourish. So prebiotics are basically specific compounds or foods that those bacteria like, that if you eat those in larger quantities, it naturally encourages those small amounts of good bacteria to become bigger amounts of good bacteria, right? So it only obviously works if you have pre-existing amounts of good bacteria. If you have no good bacteria, then no amount of prebiotics is going to help you. So usually a blend of pre and probiotics for your gut is recommended. And things like yogurt are always good to incorporate sort of in a regular regimen, or any fermented food really, because these probiotics for our gut don't tend to stick around for very long. When you're talking about postbiotics are the compounds that these bacteria produce when they're happy and in your gut. And when they produce these compounds, those are the beneficial compounds that your body needs to stay healthy, right? So the whole reason you're eating these probiotics and colonizing them in your gut is so you can get that benefit of the postbiotic that they produce. So you might say, well, an end run around this is to just eat the postbiotic itself, right? Cut out the middleman. Sure, that's a great strategy, but then that kind of hooks you. Basically, the probiotic is like a factory, a drug-producing factory in your body. And if you just encourage it to grow and if you eat healthy, you don't really need to do too much. Whereas postbiotics are like the pill that you just take. It's the drug that you take that they make. But if you don't if you don't have the probiotic in your body, you don't have that drug producing factory as it is. So for some people, it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, right? But if you look at traditional foods and traditional sort of eating practices, we've always had fermented foods as part of our diet. And I think that's what our body has evolved with.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so interesting. Thank you. And then another question with this, because we hear, if you take antibiotics or anything that's going to end up pulling good bacteria from your body, why are doctors not automatically going, hey, if you're going to take this, you should be taking some probiotic with it? Or maybe people are, and it's just not everybody. But I know when my kids get prescribed something, there's not this like automatic, you should probably consider this with that.
I think that's a great question. I think doctors are and should be giving that kind of supplementation as a matter of course. So I'm from India, and I've had the benefit of looking at healthcare systems around the world. I think in many healthcare systems outside the US, that is the practice. So in Europe and Asia, a lot of the supplementation with antibiotics is, this is going to mess with your system. And we know this, and this is how you can get it back on the right track. So I think the responsible thing with antibiotics is always to be having probiotics alongside of it.
So interesting. And not a one-off time of taking them. Like, even if you rarely ever get prescribed them, you should put the two together.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because the antibiotics are a blunt instrument, right? They're going to wipe out all the bacteria pretty much in your system. And so And a lot of people see this, right? When they take antibiotics, they have gut issues, bowel issues, and sometimes if it's a strong course of antibiotics, it can knock them to a place where they never get back to kind of a healthy functioning system. And that's really kind of their microbiome going from a healthy, resilient state to a state that's not healthy and dysbiotic.
Which I'm glad you're bringing this up because, okay, so you kind of just gave both ends of the spectrum. But what about the person who goes, ooh, I know my kid had 1,000 ear infections when they were young, and I know they had a lot of antibiotics, and I never did the probiotics. We're a couple years out. Is it too late to start doing some probiotics? Is there that time lapse? Have you missed the golden moment to do it?
I would say no. Having said that, obviously earlier is better, right? But to my mind, probiotics is really the habit of a lifetime. And all these practices, food practices, skincare practices, they're a habit of a lifetime. Just like with dieting, you can't say, "Oh, I ate salads for a month. I think I'm healthy for life now. I'm just going to be eating pizzas and hot dogs." If you're eating healthy, then you'll be healthy. If you stop eating healthy, you'll stop being healthy. And it's the same, I'm probably a little out of my depth here talking a lot about food. I know like gut microbiome stuff, but beyond that, obviously I'm not a dietitian. But analogizing food and skin, if you have a healthy practice that you can, do every day or regularly over a period of time, for that period of time, you will remain healthy and you'll see the benefits of that period throughout your life.
Yes, a lifetime habit. I love that. I know people are going to overthink this. They're going to go, I walk up to a shelf and I see so many probiotics. Like, do you have an automatic, you should head towards this brand or this product, or what are you looking for on the label that gives you a good idea if you're in the right direction?
I actually go the other way. And I say that if you're eating fermented foods regularly, then you don't even need probiotics and those supplements, because the amount and the different variety of good bacteria that you're naturally ingesting through your food is perfect. It's the perfect amount of bacteria that you need to maintain a healthy gut.
Oh, love this even more. Yeah.
And then, and it's, and every culture, if you don't have like yogurt, you don't have to eat yogurt. There's, sauerkraut and kimchi and literally every, indigenous food culture has some fermented food that they're a part of. And if it's not part of your culture, you can always pull it in, right? Even like in South America, they have like a fermented cabbage that you have with like pupusas and stuff. And, pick your favorite fermented food and, enjoy it frequently.
And tell me if I'm saying this right, because I've really gotten into this beverage, kombucha. Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
Has been a staple in my house recently. And then I've noticed a lot more salad dressings at Whole Foods that are fermented, which I was like, oh, that's brilliant. Just like you're saying, just natural ways to ease it into the day, where I'm probably not going to have sauerkraut every day, but I might have salad dressing often, or I can have that kombucha,
Right. A drink. Yeah. There's so many fermented beverages. There's kombucha, there's kefir, right? And people kind of, if people like to cook or whatever, then they can, there's tons of others. In Mexico, there's a fermented pineapple drink called tepache. And you can keep going, right? They're delicious. So even if you don't eat something, you can drink something that usually has a probiotic component.
And you're aiming for trying to get that in daily or just most days out of the week? What would be a successful week in your eyes?
Obviously daily is better, but yeah, like 2 to 3 times a week is usually enough. And again, it's like you You supplement that with other healthy food practices. Make sure you get a lot of fiber, right? Don't eat a lot of processed foods. My personal goal at home is my compost bin should be overflowing and my garbage bin should be almost empty, because the more packaged foods, processed foods that you consume, the less good it is for your body. Eat a lot of whole things that you have to take home and peel and chop, and that's a sign of healthy eating.
So good. What am I not asking you that we are missing out on right now?
Well, so I think we've covered some really interesting topics. Again, kind of going back to kind of our focus on acne, talking about how drying out your skin is not kind of the solution, because obviously there are many factors to acne and they all affect the oil in your skin, but the oil is not the problem, it's the bacteria. Then also talking about, we've also talked about the fact that you have this rainforest, this ecosystem on your skin, the skin microbiome that's so integral to your skin health, especially for acne, and then targeting the right cause of the disease instead of kind of killing the whole bunch. One thing I would mention is that a lot of people try to overcomplicate things, and I can't blame them. People are always trying to find the thing that works for them, right?
Sure.
And often it's an uncomfortable journey full of frustrations. You spend a lot of time and money trying this product and that product before you find something that works. A lot of our customers come to us after they've tried everything else, which is ironic, because I would say try our product first, because at the very least, even if it doesn't work, at least we don't harm your skin, right?
Right.
What we find is that people are so desperate to treat their acne, to kind of find that result, that they will literally do anything. And unfortunately, a lot of the times, by the time they've heard of us, because we're still a very small company, they've tried all these things that damage their skin. And so we're kind of set back a little bit. And so my message would be, we have a lot of information on our website, do your research and really figure out what path you want to go down, because luckily, I think we're now in an age where self-care is important. Thinking of the long term is important, because I don't know, back in the day, I feel like a lot of people were like, oh, I have this party this weekend and I have a zit on my face and I'll literally throw anything on my skin that, toothpaste and things that burn and sting, whatever folk remedy to just get rid of it. And then I don't care. Right. Now people are taking
until next time.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Right. Just one patch after another. Now I think people think about, oh, if I'm going to put this on my skin for the next 6 months, what will my skin look like in 10 years time? And so that's the kind of education that we like to do, because a lot of this is, new science that is not communicated by other companies that people don't know. And so sometimes, like you said, it's an uphill struggle trying to get that message out, but we're happy to be patient. We're happy to kind of talk through this and really help people with the information that they need.
Well, we align a lot in the same messaging, as far as there's this, because I always feel like I'm up against diet mentality, forever trying to break down diet mentality, and slow and steady wins the race. Little by little becomes a lot. And the same thing is true in skincare, that like you're saying, quit looking for the quick fix and let's just take care of this once and for all and stay in it for the long run. And you're going to get all those amazing benefits. What are the best places to find you?
So right now, like I said, we're pretty small. You can find us on our website, phylabiotics.com. We're only selling out of that channel, although we're going to be expanding this year in some exciting new ways. So you can find us at phylabiotics.com. So that's PHYLA. That's our company that's our company's name. And so phylabiotics.com is where you can find all of our products.
And then I feel like I saw a bunch of other links too. You exist on Facebook, LinkedIn.
Yeah, we're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. All the handles are at Philobiotics.
Right. Awesome. I always like to exit a call like this too. If there was one last shout out, one thing that you hope and prayed that our listeners heard today, which I feel like we've kind of covered this a little bit, but any last minute tips?
I would say keep things simple. And the solution for acne is not to dry your skin. I can't stress that enough because you might see results with it, but you're damaging your skin. You're setting your skin up for, more, premature aging, fine lines, wrinkles, all that kind of stuff. Because the oil that your skin produces is meant to help your skin. So don't dry out your skin.
You are wonderful. I cannot tell you thank you enough for joining us today. And I
Thank
can't wait
you.
to stay in touch.
Yeah, this was awesome. I love chatting like this, just free form. And I think the message that you're helping parents and families with is just so important. And I fully resonate with what you said, which was whether you're taking care of your gut or your skin or even other aspects of your life, figure out something that you can do every day, that's repeatable instead of going for that quick fix, because at the end of the day, the bill comes due. And on the other side of that fix, there's something that you probably wouldn't like.
Agreed. I heard this the other day, and I feel like you're going to like it as well. It was that we don't have one big thing that we can do that produces 70% of your result, but we have 20 things that we can do that can produce 5% results, which I was like, oh, I really like that.
Totally. And that 5% compounds, over and over, and then soon you're at 100%.
You got to love it. Oh, thank you again.
Thanks, Lindsay. This was great.